at some real-world graphs and how our graphs and attributes, rate of change, domain and range, all of these things relate to something that is a real-world scenario. So a student rode a bike from school to a recreation center. The graph shows the distance in miles from the recreation center after riding the bike for X number of minutes. So we can see that this is distance from the rec center. And my label got cut off, but this is our number of minutes. Down here. So what this is showing us is that we started off 9 miles from the rec center, and over time we got down to getting to the rec center in 28 minutes. So let's identify our graph attributes. So our x-intercept, where it crosses or starts at the, I said x-intercept, y-intercept. Y-axis. Cannot write tonight. So when we're looking at the y-intercept, we are always coming over to this one right here. What's this number that it's starting at? 9. So our x-intercept is where it is at our x-axis. So where is it meeting our x-axis? Right here at 28. All right, our rate of change, we are doing the same thing we were doing before. We have, remember, rate of change is slope. So at 0 minutes, we are 9 miles away. So that's 0, 9. After 28 minutes, we are 0 miles away. So I am using those and plugging it in. So we've got 0 minus 9, 28 minus 0. And again, remember, we are good with decimal numbers. So my rate of change is 32 miles per minute. My domain is my x values. So this is the graph we're looking at. Which x values do we have? We have from 0 to 28. From 0 to 28. Why did I use the less than or equal than sign? Because they are colored in solid circles. All right, our range, remember, is our y values from bottom to top. Y value starts here and it goes all the way up to 9. So 0 to 9. Okay, so this are the kind of questions you're going to see that as it relates to this. It gets you thinking more about what it's really representing. So which statement best describes the y-intercept? So we already figured out the y-intercept was 9. What does that really represent in terms of what's going on here? So does it represent that it took 28 minutes to ride to the rec center? 9, we're talking about miles. This is talking about minutes. So that doesn't make any sense. The student rode the bike at a rate of 0.03 miles per minute. Rate, this is talking about our rate of change. And remember, whenever you see the word per, you also think of rate of change. But we want to know what the y-intercept of 9 represents. So we don't need anything about rate. The initial number of miles from the rec center was 9. So, yes, we are biking from the school to the rec center. And if we're starting 0 minutes, we're starting 9 miles away. That's exactly what the y-intercept is talking about. That we are starting from 9 miles away. This last answer, D, the student biked downhill Do we know anything about if we bike downhill, uphill, across the street? We don't, and we don't really care. All right, what is the range then? Again, remember the range is my y values. So what is our range representing? We figured out that the range is from 0 to 9, from 0 to 9, looking at our graph that we were given. That is our range, 0 to 9. So I can go ahead and look at these answer choices, and since I'm looking at range, we know it's 0 to 9. Cross out anything that doesn't relate to 0 or 9. What was the 28? The 28 is on my x-axis. So we've got all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 9. Is what we figured out domain was, right? And even if I didn't have this information that I already figured out, I can look at this and I'm looking at my y values. My graph starts here. That y value is 0. And it goes up until we hit 9. So that has to be my range. This one says all real numbers less than or equal to 9. All real numbers less than or equal to 9. This one isn't true because, because this one means that it keeps going. It doesn't stop at 0. It keeps going to negative numbers. And we can't have negative miles to the rec center. And nor do we. And we're not going to. So the range of this graph is all real numbers greater than or equal to 0 and less than or equal to 9.